Hey, Jordan Belfort here, the Wolf of Wall Street in the Wolf's Den. Happy New Year. Got a great podcast for you today. So we are going to be discussing, of all things, cryptocurrency. It's going to be a new view here. What is going to be happening going forward? Obviously, last year was a horrifically bad year for crypto in general, for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the shit coins and altcoins, NFTs, right? It's been a sort of a cleansing experience. The question is, what happens now? Does Bitcoin fade away and die, or does it have a resurgence? Are we in a crypto winter and we come out of that winter and be back in spring again? Or is this crypto winter going to turn into a crypto death warrant? That's really the question. So to answer that, I have a very good friend of mine, an expert in crypto, someone who's one of the earliest adopters, been in the market since 2011. His first transaction was at $1. Bought Bitcoin at a fucking dollar. Never sold it. So he made a lot of money. I'm talking about Mr. Robert Beatles. All right. So Beatles, great to see you. Happy New Year. Always great to have you back on the podcast.
Great to see you, brother. Happy New Year's. Hopefully you and Christy and the dog are doing good. Good old Callie.
Everyone's great. Callie's amazing. We missed her. We were away. We couldn't take her with us to Argentina this year, but she was missed and now she's back. So we're excited, and she's actually getting into that good phase now. She's shaking off the insane puppy years and becoming like a good dog, so she's awesome. Anyway, so listen, you are, I think probably the one person I would say that has the most sober view of cryptocurrency that I've ever met. In fact, it's because of you that I actually got into cryptocurrency. It was all these people, carnival barking at the top of their lungs about Bitcoin going to 500,000 or 10 million and the latest, shit coin going to the moon and all this stuff. And you were sort of this sort of voice of reason through the whole thing in the early years. And back for me, were like 2018 and so forth, 19, right? But obviously, Bitcoin has had, or let's say crypto in general has had a very, very rough period here. How would you rate this? Now, just before you answer, let's just go back to your early involvement. You've been in crypto since, 2009 or 10, is it?
11. Yeah. Max Kaiser woke me up to it in January of 2011. Bitcoin, the white paper came out Halloween of 2008. It went live, I think, January 4th of 2009. And I was about 2 years late to the party, but still,
What was your original executions at? Like $1 or something when you $1? Yeah, so you got in very, very early, and then eventually, you wrote it all the way up. And in 2016 or 17, you created your own wallet to help people, and your friends were having all these issues getting hacked on exchanges and just exchanges. The first round, the people probably remember of the first disastrous round of centralized exchanges stole everyone's money, right? So you developed the wallet, Monarch wallet, right? And that was 2017?
I believe Snay and I and the team, we started laying the groundwork in 17. I think we went live somewhere around 18, 19 might have been first deployment of it. And then around 19 or 20 with Monarch Pay. So all of it's free for the world to use, and it's still undefeated, still hasn't been hacked, still live. We're like the OGs of crypto. We've seen so many, businesses go out of business and they just end up being some kind of scam. We just built utility and something really, really cool for the world to use for free, to where they're always the monarch or the king or queen of their funds.
So let's go back now a step. So you've been in crypto for basically forever, right? So how would you rate this particular crypto winter to the other crypto winters that came before it? Is it really just more of the same and it just seems worse because it's just a bigger pie now and there's more people involved, or is this actually worse? This is a bigger blow up than before?
Well, so I've been the guy that throughout at least the past 10, 11 years, unfortunately, I'm kind of like the I told you so guy. I told people that a lot of this stuff was coming. Every time I would make some type of prediction, the Bitcoin maximalists or the pump and dump people would, try to find a way to, say that I'm crazy, but it just keeps coming true. And one of the things that I've always said from the beginning is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is the greatest freedom for the people. We're the greatest enslaver. And what we've seen time and time again is the government. All right. So it's the government that, and without getting you banned off of YouTube like they did me, I'll keep it very vanilla. All right. But what we see is the government is kind of the arsonist as well as the firemen. They, whether it was 2008, whether they allowed the housing collapse, those loans, all those things to take place, and then to bail out all of their buddies in the banks with our money. And basically they bailed out Wall Street, Main Street, the people, just the regular folks, they all got hosed. We see that with inflation, what they're doing with the Fed. We see that what they're doing like with FTX and cryptocurrency. I've said that Bitcoin is a plan B currency, meaning it's like an Apple stock. People don't use something they want to go up in value as an everyday transaction device. They want to hold on to it because they want it to moon, right? They want it to go up in value. Well, with Bitcoin, the way that it currently works is it's basically like an Apple stock. It's a plan B. You only use it when, like, break glass in case of emergency. People aren't using Bitcoin in transactions. I've said people will use stable coins. That's where cryptocurrency is going. But where they don't understand is cryptocurrency is going the way of stocks, because Big Brother, the government, doesn't want us to be able to have the types of investment opportunities that a small group of people on Wall Street does. They want extreme regulation. So going back to the analogy of the firefighter versus the arsonist, well, they set fire to the cryptocurrency market with FTX. That was kind of like one of the last things that we saw here. That was their way of basically
Who's they? They.
The government, you can call it, we could go down rabbit holes, but let's just say it's the government. So the government.
How is the government responsible for FTX? Like, the guy was a fraud, no? Or is there some story I don't know about?
Well, I mean, look at his mom. All right. So look at his mom, look at the people that got the money. Where the money comes from, it comes from we the people. They either print it, they give it to these feeder funds, they give it to these, different Soros types or whatever. That money then gets washed and goes back into their little pet projects. What we saw here was a lot of the money went overseas, got washed, and came back to political parties. Doesn't matter, Republicans, Democrats, whatever, it's all the same. They literally washed all that money. What did it do? It created a huge catastrophe. So the same people that created this fire are now here to save us. So the regulation is going to come in. It's going to come in really hard. And they're basically going to end up treating this like the stock exchange, like I've said forever. They can't allow the peasants to make king money. So there's going to be regulation coming in place. That's why when you look at things like Monarch, we never touch a customer's funds. We don't have customers. We have users. We don't ever touch a single, Satoshi. Nothing is in our books. Nothing is in any kind of escrow account, anything like that whatsoever.
So notice, well, so let's just slow it down for 1 second, because you said a lot, right? So what you're saying is that that in some level, FTX was either a manufactured problem by the government or by venture capital to have fed money to this, obscene amounts of money to this guy. But of course, he himself is a crook, right? The guy's a crook. I mean, it seems pretty obvious what this guy has done, that he's basically, whether he's been a patsy for other people or not, he's a willing patsy or an unwilling patsy, where he's running a company and just basically snatching the money and trading, like, making stupid trading decisions with other people's money, right? So that's just patently illegal, right?
Agreed. But again, it's more than just him. This guy's not very bright. It's not like he orchestrated all this.
That's a different issue. Whether he's an patsy or not, it's a separate issue. But clearly he's still culpable. He's the fucking fall guy. He's out there up front, right? And the question is going to be is how many people do they get behind them? Probably none. The little people that were behind never going to get prosecuted, like the funds that that allowed it to happen and facilitated the whole thing and didn't do a stitch of due diligence, which makes no sense to me, how they could not have been aware of this in some way. But more importantly, then, the guy gets his just desserts. But I think, does this beg this idea that, like, just the whole idea of crypto is that it's decentralized currency, and that when you force it into a centralized solution like an exchange, it creates a potential problem. Like, it's almost anathema to what crypto is supposed to represent. It's supposed to be decentralized for the people. So as soon as you take that and move it back onto a centralized exchange, what have you really accomplished?
Yeah, you're speaking too clearly. It's making its common sense. That's the whole purpose behind cryptocurrency initially, is decentralized, the decentralized nature of it. When you put it into something centralized, not your keys, not your crypto, they can take it. But what you're seeing here, though, is Big Brother is the one that created this mess, and they're going to come in and say, we're going to clean it up. We're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again. You need a face to hate, right? So you need this Bank Friedman guy, right? He's frying all the banks, right? So
he's great to hate, but he's so hateable. He's really hateable, but they picked the perfect guy to hate. Yeah, he's very hateable.
Madoff, all these types of things. It just ushers in more regulation, more control. And so the idea behind cryptocurrency, of course, is the decentralized nature of it. And if you're able to keep in that pure form, that's great. But a lot of people want to be able to transact in fiat currency. So you need on-ramps and off-ramps. And so those will be the places that they attack Big Brother, right?
But I think this, but I think this is like, to the point that I think is important to kind of zero in on here is like, is the problem Bitcoin, or is the problem all the scams that people tried to essentially perpetrate with other coins, derivatives of Bitcoin, leverage trading of Bitcoin, like Bitcoin itself, like what Satoshi and essentially created with his white paper? That's not the core problem, is it? That like sort of makes sense. The economics are well known. They've never been undermined. There's a certain number of coins allowed over X number of years. The energy, the cost of it is known quantity. Is that part still intact? Is the problem, I guess the problem, what happens after Bitcoin? That's my question.
Yeah, so I don't want to black pill people because I love crypto and I see a huge use case for it. And I know that it's going to last a long time. But again, everything you said is true. It's not the decentralized nature that is the issue. It's the control. It's the centralized nature that becomes the issue. That's why Big Brother is going to come in and say, we're going to keep you safe. That's what they always do. We're going to keep you safe from this type of stuff.
We're going to regulate all the speculation. We're going to regulate all the people that want to hold it in a centralized way. We're going to make sure that anytime it enters into the banking system, it's QC'd and blah, 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 right? Now, some of that stuff is, I assume you think is okay, right? Some of it?
Well, not really. And I mean, it's something for a debate. It's not just a yes or no, because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So some portions of it are okay.
Or necessary, because in order to literally interact with the traditional system, you need to have on-ramps and off-ramps, and those are going to have to be QC'd. So there's simply nowhere, as a pragmatic person, say, okay, fair enough. If you want to, interact with the centralized solutions, you're going to have, or the mainstream system, you're going to have QC situations. You can't get around that, right?
There's going to be those issues for sure. But one of the biggest things that I worry about is a 51% attack on Bitcoin, like I've said for years. Because in 2017, we had an inflation bug that was found by a Bitcoin Cash programmer. A lot of people don't talk about that. But what people don't understand is, if you want to really, lots of people talk about the origins of Bitcoin and what it means. But if you want to get right down to it, it's not impossible to do. It only costs about $10 billion, and you could probably find that in Hunter Biden's, couch cushions from his Chinese payoffs. So it's not that expensive. And number two, if you had a state-sponsored attack by, say, China, most of those pools, you only need like 3 of them, and you could do a 51% attack on Bitcoin. And if you think that China wouldn't do something like that, that's crazy, because you got things like, was it like Ant Pool, FT Pool, and I think there's like Via BTC, like right there is like 51% of the network. Just if China decides to crack down on this stuff. So that's what people need to understand. They have to kind of look at this from outside the moon boy perspective that people are so known for pushing, and just be kind of pragmatic about this and just look at it like you would anything else. So the decentralized nature of things is great if it's truly decentralized, but everything has inherent weaknesses and flaws if you've got enough money or time. And so does Bitcoin as well.
Do you look at that as a legitimate concern for Bitcoin, that of this sort of 51% attack? Is it, you think it's inevitable? You think it's probable?
I do. I believe, because at some point, if they want to really, it's not that it's going to hurt Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. They can roll back transactions like CZ even said he was going to do. They can do all kinds of stuff, but what it does is to the confidence of Bitcoin. And all you would need is China just to basically just roll up and just do their tyrannical things that they do, and they could literally control the network. And that could happen, and it probably will happen someday in the future. But again, the decentralized side of things, if it's done properly and done well, there's enormous value for people there. And that's why Monarch, again, it's the people's money. They are the king or queens of their funds. It's not attached to any kind of bank account or any kind of escrow or things like Celsius, where they were basically promising people interest on their funds. We allowed Celsius to integrate with Monarch to give our users those abilities back. We were, I think, their first partner. We built a lot of their on ramps and off ramps, and then I saw how they were going crazy, and not there were just a lot of issues there. So I told all the users that effective May 1st of last year, we were removing Celsius and remove all your funds. I made that decision, I think, in February. And
I remember because I'm on the wallet. I remember that. Yeah, right.
In May, I removed everything, and I got so much hate by people. And then they went belly up, and then it's like, well, fuck, Beals knew what the hell he was talking about. It's like, because you have that centralized component. So what we did was we built more decentralized components, leveraging existing stuff that's out there, and built that into Monarch. So now people have that same type of stuff if they want, but it's in a decentralized manner using smart contracts. It's not somebody's escrow account. It's not somebody's personal ledger wallet that they can go and trade and do all these types of things. So the decentralized side of things, if done properly and done well, offers enormous value to the world. And that was Satoshi's vision, right? The real Satoshi. But what we're seeing right now is Big Brother coming in, and it's going to regulate the crap out of everything. Stable coins, stable tokens, you name it, all of it. It's going to come in and do that, because it's already, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see this. They've literally paved the road. You can see that it's a road. You see where it ends. This isn't good. So, it's going to be a matter of jurisdiction, like where this stuff can be used without all this Big Brother interference, and then just a matter of time before they get absolved into it and become part of the regulatory system as well. It's just a matter of time. It's all coming.
So getting back to the original question, how would you rate this particular, winter compared to previous crypto winters? Is it better or worse? How would you compare it?
Well, it shows that Bitcoin just won't die, right? It shows that it's got value, and it always will in some sort. As far as what we see, the regulation coming is more than we've ever seen before. I already know that it's coming. I got friends on the Hill. I know it's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, and it's coming soon. They're releasing their own digital currencies. They've been using them in China. I've talked about it for years. They've been using it over there forever. They're going to be using it here. It's just a matter of time. So will Bitcoin die? No. But could it be taken over, a 51% attack, and then faith lost in it? Sure. Is Bitcoin going to go to $100,000 tomorrow? Of course not. Is it going to go to $1 million someday? Well, the way they're printing money, maybe it could, because of this thing called inflation, another thing that the government created that now supposedly they're going to be they're going to be your savior from, right? All this stuff, again, is just problem solution. It's the government doing this crap to us, and then they come in and offer the damn solution. And that's what we're seeing right now here in live time with this FTX stuff and with this regulation that's coming. It's just a matter of time.
So what?
And I know that's not popular.
No, I agree with most of what you're saying here, especially the fact that regulation is coming. I personally am not as scared of regulation, because my experience with financial regulation is such that when financial regulation comes into an asset class, the asset class usually goes up in value, not down in value, because it paves the way for larger amounts of money and institutional money to come in. Now, I think you'd probably agree with that, but you're focused on a very different aspect of what that regulation means in terms of freedom and no more transparency. So I think you look at it through a different lens. But I think you'd agree that, generally speaking, for the price of the asset class in general, regulation, I believe, would be bullish. Or do you disagree with that?
In some cases, yes, as long as it's clearly defined and we know the parameters in which we're playing in, right? So it's going to become more like the stock market. People can buy stocks, they can sell stocks, they can trade stocks. It's just going to be regulated. It's going to be monitored. That's what we're looking. That's the future. It's going to be more like that. And then when it comes to actual, because they're going to be looking at them as securities, it's just a no-brainer. It's coming.
Let's talk about Monarch for a second, right? That is a really interesting example to use here. Now, just so everyone knows, I'm a shareholder of Monarch. So I have to disclose that, right? But one of the interesting things about Monarch is that the downfall of a lot of these big exchanges is when they issue their own token and they use their own token and pump up the value of their token and use that as collateral for other loans and all this shit. And then as soon as that token starts to eventually deflate, as it always does, and goes back down to its fundamental value of zero or close to it, right? All bad things happen. You made a conscious decision to simply not issue a token. You had one for a moment. And you said no. You essentially issued it for a second, saw the handwriting on the wall, and pulled it back and refused to issue a token. So how much of a role do you, in other words, like on Monarch, you can't use Monarch tokens as allegedly to get discounts on transactions and whatnot. And that's really what FTX at some level was one of the huge issues there, besides that he fucking stole the money, was that he was using FTX as collateral, correct?
Yeah, that's one of the main issues for sure. Yeah, that, and then just basically robbing from one company to pay another, and God only knows what he did with the money. And then, of course, just being a huge wash machine for the political parties. Democrats, Republicans, they made billions of dollars off this guy. A lot of freaking money. So there's a lot to it.
So your decision with Monarch to not allow the token to become this sort of currency. We spoke about this in many times about, can it exist without it appreciating? Like, honestly, once it's out there, people can do what they want with it. You lose control of it and people can start using it for whatever they want to use it for. It'll trade on decentralized exchanges. So you chose to pull that back. Obviously, I think now you're probably happy you made that decision, right?
Well, of course, the idea behind Monarch token, back in 19 or whatever it was, wasn't my idea. But as long as we were able to use it as a utility within the wallet itself, then it's like a Chuck E. Cheese token, not a big deal. But as soon as it gets live out there in the exchanges, it could become an issue because, the Howey test. So if the founders are doing anything to essentially push the price of the token up, it could be considered a security. There's different prongs in the Howey test. But yeah, it made a lot of sense just to focus on the utility, focus on the value. And that's what we've done. And our stuff has been up 100% of the time. It's, again, completely decentralized. The people are the kings or queens of their money. It's in a nutshell, we created first the wallet that allows them to send, receive cryptocurrency, to be able to buy and sell cryptocurrency, to swap it, to be able to safely store it, to actually create think of it as like a very cheap way to make a kind of like a hardware wallet where you could just get an old phone, download Monarch, just turn on your Wi-Fi, put your crypto on it, take off the Wi-Fi, put it in airplane mode, and essentially now you have a hardware wallet and saved you a couple $100. And it's decentralized. You literally just write down 12 words. You can put it in most any wallet. And whether I get hit by a bus or whatever happens to me or to Monarch, those 12 words are always yours, and you can put them in pretty much any wallet. And your money will always come back. So we kind of did that first because of all the people that were losing their money on exchanges. Then we created Monarch Pay, which is essentially kind of like a decentralized, I hate to say the word PayPal, but like a decentralized place to where for business transactions between customers, it handles everything that they need in a decentralized, reoccurring way. So we actually have the world's first patent on that as well, where we actually re-engineered a lot of the Ethereum network to be able to where we don't need an Ethereum coin to push to pay for a token. You can literally just use tokens within Monarch Pay to where you can literally just pay in stable coins or tokens and on multiple different chains. And it's all done through smart contracts. So there's no custodianship. We're not touching your money. It's great for customers and businesses, just all kinds of incredible things that it does. And I don't think we've released that yet to the world. Hell, I never even told anybody that you're part of Monarch. So I guess this is the unveiling. It's been.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, because I don't want people to say that, that I'm promoting something. Even though they really can't, I can edit it out. Doesn't matter because I don't know if there's nothing because they can't buy it yet, right? So it doesn't really matter. I just I usually there's a token that, so I want to make sure that I'm not, being accused of promoting something without saying that I own a stake of it. Anyway, either way, so getting back to Monarch Wallet, I want to clarify. So essentially, Monarch Wallet is a decentralized wallet, right? It's your own. So when you hold crypto in the wallet, it's not really in the wallet, it's on chain, right? It's on the chain itself. So in other words, it's impossible for Monarch to get hacked unless someone gets your password, right? Has Monarch ever been hacked?
No, it hasn't been hacked, and it's impossible to hack Monarch to steal JB's funds because you would literally have to hack the blockchain itself. The way a decentralized wallet, at least the way we designed it, is it's more of like a viewer, like access into the blockchain. It never holds custody of anybody's tokens or coins. So even if you were able to hack us, it does no good because you're not hacking the chain. And that's what you'd have to do to steal any funds from any Monarch user. You have to literally hack the chain. There's zero custodianship. We touch zero other people's funds. They are the true monarch of their money. So it's impossible to hack.
Why do you think so many shitty projects got funded during this last insane crypto boom? Yet in the case of Monarch, which is a real company with real use cases and 1 million users, the VCs weren't lining up to put money into Monarch. And is it because you refused to sell them tokens? Like you were making it an equity, like you're like playing the old traditional VC equity game? Is that part of it, you think?
Well, it's definitely some of it too. And we don't ever, pitch something we can't deliver on, right? Everything that we pitch, it already works. Like nothing is like future facing. This isn't like, hey, give us a bunch of money and we're going to build this out for you. No, we built it out on our own dime. Our developers are the world class. Our team is world class. Everything works. That's a big problem for a lot of VCs. They like to sell the idea. Sometimes they don't want things to work yet. They want to, we'll give them a bunch of money and then, we'll push it up some more and then give them some more money. We'll push it up some more. And every time it becomes worth more and more. And it's just an idea. It doesn't actually work. And so it's kind of that moon boy mentality that a lot of people have in the space, even VCs. I've been told, I can't tell you how many times, well, we don't need it to work. We don't want it to work. We want to pitch something really sexy and cool so we can raise a bunch of money. And I'm like, yeah, but then when the music stops, there's going to be people that don't have chairs, and then they're going to be looking for scalps.
Right. and also the fact is, I think the big issue was what I found was that they were saying, well, if you want to give us tokens, hey, we'll put in $20 million, but we're not interested in shares or act like the traditional form, because they look at to be able to get in and out, dump their stock, dump their tokens on an exchange in the old, crypto two-step that everyone was doing back in like 2021 and 2, where, you do a VC deal, get in seed round early, you get on a decentralized exchange, get into the penny, it gets listed at 10 cents and so on and so forth. So all that being said, so where do you think the world heads next? Like what's the next evolution of crypto? All right, so anyone not know what that is? That's another sale on Shopify, the platform trusted by me and millions of other entrepreneurs to create their online store and so much more. That's right, even my website is with Shopify. Whether you're selling succulents or stilettos, start selling with Shopify and join the platform simplifying commerce for millions of businesses worldwide. Shopify covers all the sales channels to successfully grow your business, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform, even across social media platforms like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And thanks to 24/7, this is important by the way, support and free on-demand business courses, Shopify is here to help you succeed every step of the way. Sign up for a free trial at shopify.com/wolf. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/wolf to start selling online today. Shopify.com/wolf.
Well, again, it's going to be a lot of regulation. So it's going to be treated similar to the stock market here, I would say, within the next year or so. If not sooner, you're going to see a lot more government control come in. You're going to see opportunities to make money in actual businesses versus tokens, because the businesses like Monarch that actually built something that works, that can work with central bank tokens and coins or regular tokens and coins, things that aren't actual custodians, I think are going to do really well. People that offer services similar to stockbrokers are going to do very well. There'll be some projects that do very, very well in this climate, but it's going to be like 1%. It's not going to be like all the dumb money's gone. All the people that made money on all these stupid projects, these pump and dumps, those days are over. Those are going to be few and far between. I've seen this, over the past 11 years. There used to be, ICOs like all the time. There was so many people just setting fire to money, and then they'd lose it all. And then it would come back, and not that project, but they would do it in another project, then lose it all, or then they'd get lucky in one and make some money. And this vicious cycle. But I think we've seen pretty much the end of all of that. And now Big Brother's coming in for regulation, and the people that have real utility, real value, offer real solutions are going to make some incredible money and offer some immense value. And the people that are just out there doing the same old thing, they're going to get run over like a freight train.
Do you think outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, are there other chains or coins, other things out there you think really have long-term value that you think we have a chance of making it?
I mean, it's the things that work. I got so much crap back in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, all those years where I talked about like XRP and Ripple. It's basically a database, but it freaking works. Just like Stellar works, Ripple works. Bitcoin Cash, it has the most, I believe, storefronts or ability to be used of any cryptocurrency in existence. A good buddy of ours, Roger Ver, who's also on Monarch. But the problem with that too is, guess what? It's a cryptocurrency. People don't want to use it to buy coffee. They want to really hold on to it because they want it to go up in value. So I think the stables are going to be, pretty much where it's at for transactions, and it's just going to be a wild ride. But I'm looking forward to it.
So I see we have Davis popped on. What's up, Davis?
Hey, Jay, Beatles. How's it going?
All right. So I want to, so why don't you introduce yourself? We have here now, he's the CEO of Monarch Pay. So why don't you explain what Monarch Pay is, Davis? Give your background and introduce yourself to the crypto world.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Davis Richardson here. Like Jordan said, I'm the CEO of Monarch Pay. We are a smart contract and decentralized payments platform. So a good way to think about it is sort of like a decentralized PayPal. But our specialty really is the reoccurring subscription functionality that we have as part of our payments platform. It's something unique to the industry that's very much needed, and we're super excited to bring it to market.
Can you give me an example of a use case for that? Like, what would be the best? So you said residual income, like for example, a Netflix subscription. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Any company that is currently taking crypto payments, right, but wants it to be reoccurring, that's a bread and butter layup for us. But in the future, a company like Spotify, Netflix, if they wanted to start accepting subscriptions, but with cryptocurrency, Monarch Pay would be the perfect platform for them.
So, so how does Monarch Pay function? Let's say is it what? First of all, is it a merchant solution or is it a customer solution?
It's a bit of both. It's that sweet spot of the B to B to C, right? So we act as an interface for both the merchant and the customer, and when the customer is dealing with the merchant. So again, the best way to visualize this would be a decentralized PayPal, right? So it's like with PayPal, you go in, you click the button, you check out, you send the money to the business, right? And Monarch really is just the operating system in the background there that makes all the magic happen.
So in other words, so with Monarch, but the one big difference though is that Monarch is peer-to-peer, right? So there's no centralized bank. It's not like Monarch is in the middle of that. Monarch essentially uses smart contracts and the blockchain to essentially directly link the customer to the business, right? And then it allows for the flow of value to come. So a smart contract said X value flows from the business to the customer, and then each month automatically the money gets subtracted out of that customer's wallet, right, and goes back to the business. Is that what Monarch does?
Yep, exactly. And this seems something that's trivial and so widely used with regular fiat payments, but it's something that's actually incredibly complicated with crypto and the way the current system's set up. So we're really excited about this product and the platform and introducing something that's so critical to normal fiat payments to this new ecosystem.
So why would someone want to use Monarch Pay instead of using PayPal? Like, what are their advantages to using a Monarch Pay? Let's start with the business owner. What are the advantages to the business owner?
Yeah. So, I mean, cryptocurrency, right? It's roughly $1 trillion asset class, and the money is just sort of sitting in there locked, right? There's not really an accessible way for customers and people that are holding this to now start using their cryptocurrency and paying with it. So really, using Monarch or being able to accept cryptocurrency, you're just unlocking an asset class that could end up increasing your customer base and, adding an additional 1%, 2%, 3% in revenue. So that's just, baseline, you open up the pool of money that you can accept. So that's a big benefit. Secondly, there's no chargebacks with cryptocurrency. Like right now, fraud and chargeback claims are going through the roof. People are, going to a bar, buying a table, and then,
I deal with it all the time myself. Exactly. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, there's no chargebacks. And, the third and most important thing is fees right now for, transactions globally, especially with like international transactions, are outrageously high. For example, with remittance payments, a migrant worker coming and working in the United States, for example, and sending money back to Mexico, the average fee is like 10% of the money that they're sending back, which is, just egregiously high and unnecessary. And it's because there's monopoly on the payment system, with SWIFT and Western Union. So this new technology, gives the opportunity to do global payments for a drastically lower fee. And that's why it makes sense, right? Like that's why this is a crypto project that actually brings value and makes sense for the world and global economy.
What about business owners? Like I know as a business owner, it's never happened to me, but it's happened to many of my friends where you're signed up with Stripe or PayPal or one of the other services, and suddenly they decide that they don't like you anymore. They don't like what your content represents, or they think that your chargebacks are too high, or your politics is not in line with what they consider to be the good side of the equation, and they freeze your funds. Or at worst, they'll freeze your funds, or they'll just simply terminate you. And next thing you know, you have no solution for payment. So is that possible with Monarch Pay? Or it's impossible for someone to freeze your money? Like you couldn't have a PayPal or anyone else freeze your money and you couldn't be thrown out?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys were, talking about before, but, we're firm believers in not your keys, not your crypto. So this is your money. You are your own bank, right? Like we don't have access to your keys. We can't freeze your assets. There's no risk of anything like FTX happening, or, a centralized institution just coming in and, taking your money from you. So yeah, I mean, we try to give freedom to the people.
Right. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about, maybe Beatles can speak to this because he's been around for many years. There's a big problem in the online vendors out there who are selling things, and like just sometimes, like for no reason, literally the companies will, Visa, Mastercard, they'll come in, they'll just freeze your assets and say, sorry, we don't think you're in a business that is that's going to be sustainable, and we don't want to get caught holding the bag. That's the premise they use, and they'll freeze $1 million of your money. They'll just literally take your money and say, yeah, we'll give it to you in a year after everybody is not charged back. Or they simply just don't like what you said. Let's say you're truckers in Canada and you're trying to raise money in a GoFundMe campaign, and suddenly they say, oh, we don't like that. That's a right-wing fascist cause. And they, essentially lock you out of your own ability to collect money. So is Monarch a solution for companies that are fine for whatever industry they're in, they're considered high risk or unfavorable? Does it work for that as well?
So with Monarch, again, you're the king or queen of your funds. So we don't have any ability to turn off or turn on your wallet, take funds, claw back funds, do anything to your funds whatsoever. You're truly the monarch. The only safeguards, and I would say control aspects as a decentralized wallet and also platform that we've installed, was we blacklisted certain, let's just say, known addresses. Terrorists. Yes, those have been blacklisted. Countries that, again, aren't friends with essentially NATO or the United States, whatever you want to say, have been blacklisted, so they can't have access to Monarch. But as far as being able to reach into somebody's wallet and take something, forget about it. Being able to lock somebody out of their wallet, forget about it. They got the 12 words. They can literally go throw it in pretty much any decentralized wallet and have access to all of their funds immediately. So that's one of the beauties of all this is, again, we're totally hands off with people's money. We just put some rails, little training wheels, so to speak, some little safeguards before people can download the wallet, just to keep some of the known bad actors out of the Monarch ecosystem.
How do you stop, like, I had a MetaMask wallet, right? And I got hacked, right? And that obviously was my mistake, my bookkeeper's mistake. And they, I think what happened was they went to some mirror site that he thought was MetaMask and was not MetaMask. And how do you stop? How come that's never happened to Monarch?
So you were probably using a desktop version, where Monarch has been primarily mobile. So again, it's just like an interface to view and to interact with a blockchain. If you're going to be using the desktop version of, say, Monarch Pay and things like that, you have to be very cognizant that you bookmark your page and you know exactly what page you're going to, because they can phish, they can spoof, they can change the web address. Say, instead of Monarch Pay, it's Monarch, but they use, like, one of those hieroglyph ends or something like that, right? And so you think you're at Monarch Pay, but really you're not. You're at some bad actor. And then if it says, enter your seed phrase to access your wallet, well, now you've just given them access to your wallet. So that happens. That isn't a MetaMask thing. That's just an internet thing, right? That can happen with your account, anything like that. Now, if MetaMask was actually hacked, that'd be a different thing. But if he just went to the wrong URL,
that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no matter what, anytime you're dealing in crypto, you have to be careful, right? That's just like, you have to be careful.
You absolutely, because especially if you're going to act as basically the monarch of your money, where you don't want anybody else to have access to it, only you need to have a little bit of educational skills into cryptocurrency before you kind of take on that role. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to do that. A lot of people are used to banks, are used to things like centralized, like FTX, right? Yeah, you put in your credit card or whatever, and you get a bunch of Bitcoin, but now it's over there on their exchange. And I've always told people that, hey, I don't care whether it's interest, I don't care whether it's an exchange. Whenever you see something bad happen in the market, a lot of times they freeze your funds and you no longer have access to them. And that's what we see in these centralized solutions, so to speak. None of that is possible on Monarch. We don't use any centralized aspects of this other than on-ramps and off-ramps via like credit card or bank account. But that's not us. That's a partner allowing you to transact cryptocurrency to fiat or fiat to cryptocurrency. We have no part of that whatsoever. When the cryptocurrency hits your Monarch wallet, it's yours. Nobody can mess with it. Nobody can take it from you. It's as solid as it possibly can get.
So do you guys, is the idea here that as crypto continues to mature, people are never going to really use Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever they have is for payments? It's not like people don't use that. That's like an asset that they're holding and they're hoping is going to appreciate in value. It's like, as you said, going out and buying Apple stock and then going into something, yeah, I'll give you a quarter of a share to go buy a television set, right? People don't do that. Unless it's their last case scenario. If they run out of money, they'll sell their Apple stock to pay a bill, right? But that's like a last case scenario. So in your mind, the real use case for crypto as a payment mechanism comes down to stable coins, correct?
Yes, stable tokens, stable coins. You can see it's
whatever it be, right?
So everything is going digital.
And that would be even like a digital US dollar, whatever it might be. So the idea would be in that case, that way, so you could put in your Monarch wallet, right? To have digital dollars or digital or USDT or USDC, whatever it might be, right? You buy the Binance, right? The stable coin, whatever it might be, right? And then the Monarch Pay, essentially, is it like an interface, or would you feel like you're almost using PayPal? Is that what it's like? So you get the feeling like you're using, it's no harder or easier than using PayPal, except it allows you to have, let's say you have $10,000 of stable coins in your wallet, right? You could just simply use that in the same way you go. If you want to go to DoorDash and order food, you just go to DoorDash, check out with Monarch Pay, and the money you're just paying in stable coins. Is it give them the feeling like they're back in that world again, but they're actually in the decentralized world?
Yes, as soon as they create their Monarch Pay account, and we're making it even easier and easier and easier for people, it's going to be a very like centralized feel. It's going to be like that, like they're using their bank. It's going to be something similar to that, even though it's completely decentralized. It's going to take them down that road that they're very familiar with and very used to. And everything is going digital. Like all you have to do is just follow the progression of money, whether it went from coins to checkbooks to ATM cards to cryptocurrency, whatever, and all the things in between is going that way for sure. Everybody, when I was in Asia, everybody uses their phone for payments, period. They don't even look at paper money or coins. It's all their phone. So Monarch, just thrives in that environment, as well as, desktop and things like that, because everything is going digital. And what you have with Monarch is there's the transaction fees are so minimalistic compared to like what they're used to with like a PayPal or credit card or chargebacks. All that stuff is just a thing of the past, and it's super fast. And you can use your stable tokens, not your cryptocurrency that your plan B, like I call it, your Bitcoin, Ethereum. Use your stables just like you would fiat currency, dollar bills. And you're not going to miss it. You're going to be like, wow, this was so fast. It was so cheap. And I have total control of my funds. The bank can't say I only get $500 today, right? You can, if you have $5 trillion in your wallet, you can move it. It's incredible freedom for people, and it can't be hacked. And again, this isn't something that they buy. It's something that is there for the world for free that they can use today. I don't know that Monarch Pay, I don't think, Davis, have we launched that for people to start using?
No, Monarch Pay, we're looking target launch by the end of February. But it's, a complete redesign. It has that sleek, centralized feel that you would get with a PayPal type of checkout experience. And, that's the value that we're adding. And a lot of these new dApps and decentralized companies are trying to do is, make it more user-friendly, make it a bit more intuitive. And that's sort of the next progression before there's more widespread adoption, across the industry.
So where are you looking right now as the first place to start, going to market? What's your go-to-market strategy? You have a certain industry in mind, a certain part of the country or world in mind? Anything you want to share publicly, or you want to keep that quiet right now?
Basically anybody that transacts online. So any kind of e-commerce, any kind of customer business relationship that's typically done through a merchant process using e-commerce, I think is an incredible fit. And then again, it can go all the way down to storefronts if they want. They can use it for anything and everything. It pretty much does it all. So that's the beauty of it, while you're in control of all your money.
And to download Monarch Wallet/Pay, you would go either to the Apple Store or to Google Play, correct?
Yeah, so it's on Apple and Google, and soon it'll be at monarchpay.com where they can interact directly there.
Excellent. Dave, anything else you want to add before we go? We're almost out of time. Anything else you want to add about Monarch Pay that you think is important? Do you have any sense of what the first sort of is it going to be United domestic or overseas where you think the first use case will be most prevalent?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most need for this is probably international, right? Like people in countries like Venezuela, where the currency, is inflating at 100% year over year, like they need to be able to transact using cryptocurrencies and have a payment system there. However, for our end, the easiest thing to do is work with companies in the United States. It's a little bit easier to work with the banks in the United States for onboarding and offboarding. And there's a lot of companies out there that are currently accepting cryptocurrency, but they have this huge problem where they lose, 10%, 20% of their customers because people have to pay an invoice every single month. So it's just like a no-brainer that they would partner with a company like Monarch and start taking these recurring automated transactions. So I'm really looking forward to, kickstarting that, getting it off the ground. And we have a few partners in mind that we're already in negotiation with to work with. So really looking forward to that in the new year.
All right. Well, listen, guys, thank you for coming on Beatles. It's always a pleasure. And you can't make any, we had this bet we made, which I lost many years ago. Any projections on where you think Bitcoin's going to be at the end of 2023?
It all just depends on how much Uncle Sam keeps printing. And it's not even Uncle Sam, it's how much the Federal Reserve is going to keep printing. That's inflation. That's going to be the key issue there. I don't see a huge uptick in Bitcoin price without inflation kicking in. There's just too much regulation coming. I know that's a lot of people will be like, damn, Beatles, you're a real black pill. No, I just see the utility. I see the value. I think the days of stupid money and dumb money and the moon boy days are over. And now it's going to be the people that actually built the tech, the people that built the utility, the stuff that actually works. It's day to shine. And that's going to be here any moment.
All right. Well, it sounds good, Byron. Guys, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it greatly. And we will have you back on again in maybe 3 or 4 months. Thanks.
God bless.
Take care.
Okay. Thanks,
All right, everyone. Thanks for attending another awesome podcast here at the Wolf's Den. Share it with your friends. Like it, comment. Love to have your comments. And I'll talk again with you soon. Take care.